Okay, honest question, how many times have you stood at a coffee counter, looked at the menu, and just ordered the same thing you always order because you had no idea what half of those drinks actually were? Yeah, same. There are 10 coffee drinks you need to know. 10. And once you understand what makes each one different, the ratios, the milk, the brewing method, you'll never feel lost at a coffee shop again. In the next 10 minutes, I'm breaking all of them down, every single one. Let's go. Here's the thing about coffee. Most people think the difference between a latte and a cappuccino is just the size, or that a cold brew is just iced coffee with a fancier name, or that a flat white is something only Australians drink. None of that is true. Each of these drinks has a specific ratio of espresso to milk, a specific texture, a specific temperature, and a specific reason it was invented. And those differences matter, because if you order the wrong one, you might end up with something twice as strong as you wanted, or half as creamy, or completely different from what you were imagining. Knowing these drinks doesn't make you a coffee snob. It makes you someone who actually gets what they ordered. And that's worth 10 minutes of your life. Espresso. We start at the beginning, because everything else on this list is built on top of this. Espresso is a concentrated shot of coffee made by forcing hot water through finely ground coffee beans under high pressure. The whole process takes about 25 to 30 seconds. What comes out is about 1 ounce of very dark, very intense coffee with a thin layer of reddish-brown foam on top called crema. That crema is not decoration. It's emulsified coffee oils, and it carries a huge portion of the flavor. Espresso is stronger than regular coffee by volume, but because you drink it in a single small shot, the total caffeine is actually lower than a full cup of drip coffee. The surprising fact, the word espresso doesn't mean fast in Italian. It comes from the word for pressed or expressed, referring to the water being forced through the grounds. Who it's perfect for? Anyone who wants coffee in its most concentrated, pure form, or anyone who's about to order anything else on this list, because it's the base for almost all of them. Americano. The next one has a war story behind it. An Americano is espresso diluted with hot water, usually 1 or 2 shots topped up to make a larger, milder drink. The ratio is typically 1 part espresso to 2 or 3 parts water. It looks like black coffee, smells like black coffee, but tastes different, smoother, with that espresso complexity underneath. The story goes that during World War II, American soldiers in Italy found straight espresso too intense, so local baristas started adding hot water to dilute it. What the water does is spread the espresso's intensity across a full cup. Each sip is gentler without losing the character underneath. This isn't a weak drink. It's espresso in a more approachable form. The surprising fact, an Americano and a drip coffee look identical in the cup, but taste completely different, because the extraction method is fundamentally different. Who it's perfect for? Anyone who loves black coffee, but wants the complexity of espresso across a larger, more approachable cup. Cappuccino. Now comes the most iconic Italian coffee drink in the world. A cappuccino is made of 3 equal parts, 1/3 espresso, 1/3 steamed milk, and 1/3 milk foam. That ratio is everything. The foam on a cappuccino isn't just aesthetic, it creates a texture that's completely different from a latte. Drier area, with the espresso flavor punching through more strongly because there's less milk diluting it. A traditional Italian cappuccino is small, about 5 to 6 ounces, and always served hot, never iced in Italy. The name comes from the Capuchin friars, a Catholic religious order whose brown robes were the same color as the drink when the milk and espresso mixed together. The surprising fact, in Italy, ordering a cappuccino after 11 a.m. is considered a social faux pas. Italians believe the milk interferes with digestion after meal. Ordering one after lunch will get you a look from the barista. Who it's perfect for? Anyone who wants a balance between strong espresso flavor and creamy texture, without the drink being too large or too milky. Latte. This is the most ordered coffee drink in the world. A latte, short for calf latte, which literally means coffee milk in Italian, is espresso with a lot of steamed milk and just a thin layer of foam on top. The ratio is usually 1 or 2 shots of espresso to about 6 to 8 ounces of steamed milk. That's significantly more milk than a cappuccino, which makes it much creamier, much milder, and much more accessible for people who don't love the intensity of espresso on its own. The latte is also the canvas for everything you see at Starbucks, all the syrups, the seasonal flavors, the oat milk variations. At its core, it's just espresso and milk. Everything else is customization. The surprising fact, latte art, those leaf and heart patterns you see on the foam, isn't just showing off. It's actually a quality indicator. A barista who can pour latte art has properly textured the milk, which means the drink will taste better than one with flat, bubbly milk. Who it's perfect for? Anyone who finds straight espresso too intense, or anyone who wants a large, creamy coffee that can be customized 100 different ways. Flat white. Now comes the one that confuses everybody, because it looks like a small latte and nobody can explain why it costs the same. A flat white originated in Australia and New Zealand in the 1980s and is made with 2 shots of espresso and about 4 ounces of steamed milk with very little foam, just a thin, flat layer of microfoam on top. That's where the name comes from. No thick foam, just flat, velvety milk. The key difference from a latte is the ratio. Flat white has more espresso relative to milk, which makes it stronger and more coffee-forward despite being creamier than a cappuccino. The milk texture is also different. Microfoam is silkier and more integrated than the steamed milk in a latte. The surprising fact, Starbucks didn't add the flat white to its menu until 2015, more than 30 years after it was invented. When they did, they described it as a small latte, which infuriated Australians and New Zealanders everywhere. Who it's perfect for? Anyone who loves lattes but wants something smaller, stronger, and more intensely coffee-flavored without giving up the creaminess. Macchiato. This is the most misunderstood drink on the entire menu because there are 2 completely different drinks called a macchiato, and most people don't know which one they're ordering. The original macchiato, calf macchiato, is a shot of espresso with just a small dollop of steamed milk on top. Macchiato means stained or spotted in Italian, referring to the espresso being stained with a touch of milk. It's tiny, about 2 ounces, intensely strong. Then there's the latte macchiato, which is the opposite. Steamed milk stained with espresso, poured in layers. Much larger, much milder, much creamier. When Starbucks launched their caramel macchiato, they based it on the latte macchiato version, but most people who order it think they're getting something related to the original small espresso drink. They're not even close to the same thing. The surprising fact, a traditional calf macchiato has almost no milk, maybe a teaspoon. It's essentially an espresso with a flavor adjustment, not a milk-based drink at all. Who it's perfect for? The original macchiato is for espresso lovers who want just a touch of creaminess. The latte macchiato is for people who want a visual, layered coffee experience that's much milder. Cold brew. Now comes the one everyone thinks they understand, but most people get wrong. Cold brew is not iced coffee. They are fundamentally different drinks made in completely different ways. Iced coffee is regular hot brewed coffee poured over ice. It takes minutes to make, but can taste bitter and diluted as the ice melts. Cold brew is made by steeping costly ground coffee in cold water for 12 to 24 hours. No heat involved at all. That slow, cold extraction pulls different flavor compounds than hot brewing does. Less acidity, less bitterness, a naturally sweeter and smoother flavor that doesn't need sugar or milk to be enjoyable. The resulting concentrate is then diluted with water or milk before serving. The surprising fact, cold brew has become one of the fastest growing coffee categories in the world. Sales have increased over 1,000% in the last decade. It went from being a specialty coffee shop novelty to a mainstream supermarket product in less than 10 years. Who it's perfect for? Anyone who finds hot coffee too acidic or bitter, anyone who drinks iced coffee but hates when the ice waters it down, and anyone who wants to make coffee at home in bulk and store it for a week. Turkish coffee. This is the oldest coffee drink on the entire list, and it's still made almost exactly the same way it was 500 years ago. Turkish coffee is made by simmering very finely ground coffee, almost powder fine, in water in a small pot called a sez, sometimes with sugar added during brewing. The coffee is poured directly into the cup without filtering, which means the grounds settle at the bottom. You drink the liquid off the top and leave the grounds. The texture is thick, rich, and intensely flavored in a way that no other brewing method replicates. Turkish coffee culture is so significant that it was added to UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List in 2013. The surprising fact, in traditional Turkish culture, reading coffee grounds left in the cup is a form of fortune-telling called tasseography. After you finish your coffee, you flip the cup onto the saucer, let it cool, and someone reads the shapes left by the grounds. Who it's perfect for? Anyone who wants to experience coffee in its most historically authentic form. No machines, no filters, no electricity required. Vietnamese coffee. The next one is the most intensely sweet coffee drink on this list, and once you've had it, you'll understand why it has a dedicated following. Vietnamese coffee, known locally by a name that roughly translates to iced milk coffee, is made by slowly drip brewing dark roast Robusta coffee through a small metal filter called a fin directly into a glass with sweetened condensed milk at the bottom. Then it's poured over ice. The result is a coffee drink that's simultaneously very strong. Robusta beans have significantly more caffeine than Arabica, and very sweet, with a thick, almost caramel-like richness from the condensed milk. The combination sounds unusual. It works extraordinarily well. The surprising fact: Vietnam is the second largest coffee producer in the world after Brazil, producing mostly Robusta beans. Yet Vietnamese coffee culture remained almost unknown outside Southeast Asia until the last decade. It's now one of the most searched coffee styles globally. Who it's perfect for: anyone with a sweet tooth who still wants a serious caffeine hit, and anyone who wants a cold coffee experience that's completely different from cold brew. Nitro Cold Brew. And we reach the last one, and it's the most visually dramatic coffee drink on this list. Nitro Cold Brew is regular cold brew coffee infused with nitrogen gas and served on tap, like a draft beer. When it's poured, the nitrogen creates a cascade of tiny bubbles that gives the drink a dark, velvety appearance and a thick, creamy head of foam, without any milk, cream, or sugar added. The nitrogen changes the texture completely. It feels smooth and almost chewy in a way that regular cold brew doesn't. It also slightly mutes the bitterness and brings out a natural sweetness. The surprising fact: Nitro Cold Brew has more caffeine than almost any other coffee drink on a standard menu, because it's served without ice, in a more concentrated form, with no dilution. That small-looking cup of nitro could have significantly more caffeine than the large latte beside it. Who it's perfect for: anyone who wants the smoothest, most visually impressive cold coffee experience possible, and anyone who needs serious caffeine without any added sugar or milk. That's all 10, and here's what nobody tells you. The drinks that most people think are complicated, the flat white, the macchiato, the nitro cold brew, are actually some of the simplest in terms of ingredients. Meanwhile, the drinks that seem simple, the latte, the Americano, are the ones most commonly made wrong. The takeaway: the fancier the name, the simpler the drink. And the simpler the name, the more precision it actually requires to get right. So if you've been standing at that counter long enough, you know what to order now. I want to hear from you. Which of these do you drink every day? Which one didn't you know about? And is there a coffee drink I missed that you think belongs on this list? Tell me in the comments. And if this finally cleared up the latte versus flat white debate for you, a like helps more confused coffee drinkers find this video. If you want to keep learning about the things you use every day without really knowing what they are, subscribe. New video every week. See you in the next one.